Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, the political week in review. Just a little more than a week to go before Election Day. This was a good week for frontrunner Rahm Emanuel, a local TV station releasing a poll giving him 54% of the vote, putting him over that 50% mark to avoid a runoff. The same survey showed Gary Chico in second place with 14% and Carol Moseley Braun falling to last place with 6% support. I've been sitting down with Crain's political columnist Greg Hines each week to talk about the race, and this week I began by asking him whether the race is over.
Well, it's never over till the fat lady sings. Question one is somebody going to win Mr. Emanuel in the first round on February 22nd, or is it going to go to runoff? On that one, I would say that the odds are now probably slightly in favor of him pulling it off without. If you go into a second round where it's one-on-one, that potentially re-scrambles everything. Everybody has a chance to really narrow their focus a little bit, and that one would be a little more difficult to call.
Is there something that he can do in the next week or so to hold on to that big lead?
The most important thing he can do is not make any mistakes, and his people know that better than anybody else. I mean, that frankly is the way he's been conducting himself most of this season. The one time where he did go kind of out on a limb on the sales tax thing, the other candidates, particularly Gary Chico, just used it as a big stick and whacked him with it for weeks and weeks and weeks. The message to him ought to be, don't make no waves if you're doing all right.
He's got such a big lead over Gary Chico and the other candidates. Obviously, money plays a huge part, but it's got to be more than that, right?
It is. Part of it's money. Part of it is his connections in this town. TV and radio spots with Barack Obama saying wonderful things about you are going to get you some votes from people with every kind of a background. He's had some interesting proposals. He gave his big economic speech during the week trying to lay out where he was going to save the money. And while there's some good things in there, like a cheaper way to collect garbage, for instance. There's some tough talk about what we're going to do with worker pensions, but no real specifics. That's maybe the single biggest cost item out there. And it ain't going to be easy to get everybody at the table and come up with something that works.
Rahm Emanuel won some big endorsements this week from the black community, the Indigo newspaper, Secretary of State Jesse White. You know, we have a piece in next week's paper talking about how there hasn't been this groundswell of support in the black community toward Carol Moseley Braun. What does that tell us?
In general, that this sound is much more sophisticated when it comes to race than it used to be. It was only a year ago when Tony Preckwinkle and Todd Stroger and some other black folks were all running for the county board presidency, and just one white person, Terry O'Brien. And guess what? Terry O'Brien didn't come in first, didn't come in second. Tony Preckwinkle did. But it also tells us that Carol Moseley Braun has run a terrible campaign, something we've been talking about here for almost since the first week. No voter wants to have their vote taken for granted, ever. You have to reach out and appeal and stroke and do what you need to do.
All right, Greg. Well, another week to watch. Thanks so much.
Yep.
And that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. For more political coverage, be sure to check out Greg's blog at chicagobusiness.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.